Hi everyone, my name is Emily Teacher, and today we'll be reading A Life That Changed. Hans Christian Andersen's famous story, The Ugly Duckling, tells of a little duckling that looks different from others. The duckling is mocked for being odd. The little creature turns out not to be a duck at all, but a beautiful swan. From a quick glimpse into the life of the author, we learn that a dramatic change took place in Andersen's own childhood. He also took a long time to fit in and to find a special place for himself. So the ugly duckling is very important because it is also kind of like this man, Hans Christian Andersen's own life. He had a dramatic or a really big change in his life from when he was young to when he grew up. So let's learn about it. Hans Christian Andersen was born in Denmark in 1805. It's a long time ago. His father was a shoemaker who struggled to make a living. Hans always felt loved by his parents. He had a happy childhood. He had no brothers or sisters. Andersen was a sensitive child who lived in a private world of his own. His greatest joy was a toy theater his father made for him. The little boy entertained his parents by putting on plays. He dressed the people of his little toy theater in quaint clothes that he made himself. When Hans was 11, his father died. The young boy's life changed abruptly. He had to go to work, but he failed at every job he attempted. His fellow workers could not understand the strange boy who spent all his time daydreaming. They treated him with contempt, making his life miserable. When he was 14, Hans persuaded his mother to let him go to the big city of Copenhagen. He tried to get work there as an actor, but was unsuccessful. He also tried dancing and singing, but he was not very good at these either. He tried writing plays, but theater owners rejected them. In this phase of his life, he didn't seem to fit in anywhere. So, just like the ugly duckling, right? He couldn't fit in. He didn't have a place where he was accepted by other people. He tried working once his father had died, but they didn't treat him nicely there. So he moved to Copenhagen, but people didn't treat him very nicely there either. Let's see what happened next. But Andersen persisted in his efforts to be a writer. Over the next 15 years, he wrote poems, travel articles, novels, and plays. He worked very hard, taking care to revise each sentence carefully until he got the words just right. No one paid much attention to his work, however, until he began writing fairy tales. He did not have to search for ideas for these. All he had to do was recall the stories his father had told him when he was a little boy. He wrote more than 150 wonderful fairy tales. Achieving fame at last, he became one of the best loved writers in all the world. You will read one of his stories in the next lesson. So, even though Hans Christian Andersen had a hard life growing up, when he started to write fairy tales, then he became famous. So, he remembered the stories his dad used to tell him when he was a kid, and he wrote them down, and they became very, very popular. So we are going to read one of his stories next. But for now, we do have links related to each article. If you would like the link for this story, you can find it down in the description below.